Well, joining me now is former star of SAS Who Dares Wins at Middleton, organiser of BLM protests, Imarn Ayton. Well, welcome to both of you. And we also, down the line, we have Royal Correspondent of Vanity Fair, Katie Nicholl. I'll start with Katie Nicholl. Katie, thanks for joining me. I've got to say, the nearer we get to this global event, as Netflix call it, which is going to be unleashed on Thursday morning at 8 a.m. with the first 3 episodes, the more angry I'm becoming about what this is going to do to a grieving monarch who's not even been coronated yet to replace his mother, to the new Prince of Wales trying to build that position now for himself and his wife and his children. All of it makes me puke that these two, once again, are going to be raining muck all over their families, not just for the global titillation, but for hard dollars, $80 million, which is why they're doing it.
Absolutely, and I can only imagine for the King, for the Prince of Wales, I mean, they must just have their heads in their hands, exasperated, frustrated, hurt, betrayed, angry, all words that I've been told are the feelings behind closed doors at the palace. Who knows whether they're going to be tuning in when the first 3 episodes of this docuseries drop on Thursday. I suspect the royal lawyers will be watching very closely. I'm sure the courtiers will be watching closely, particularly those who claim they were bullied by Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. And I think the problem with all of this is so clearly highlighted in those very controversial trailers is it is so partisan, it is so one-sided, and I suspect we'll come away saying exactly what we said after the Oprah interview. Well, where were the counter questions? Where are the tabloid editors who can put another side of the argument across? They say they want to put across their truth, but is it the truth?
Well, we know after Oprah it's nowhere near the truth. At Middleton, you've always been very supportive of Harry. I think the military connection, obviously, and there's no doubt, this guy served his country with honour in war zones, and he deserves great credit for that. My brother-in-law taught him at Sandhurst Military Academy, said he was a fine young soldier. Nothing can take that away from him. But what I detect from people I know in the military is an unbelievable disappointment in what he's now becoming. And the fact that, of course, when you serve the military, you serve an oath to serve your country and your monarch.
Yes.
And here he is just now constantly attacking his father, who's the new king, and the monarchy, the institution.
I think when people are fed up with being suffocated by wokeness and by an attention-seeking manner like they have been, you can't defend them anymore. Harry, I defended him all along, said, look, he's protected his country, he served his country, he should go off like they wanted to, go off and live their life outside of the media, outside of the limelight.
With privacy, away from the media.
And I completely respected that. I thought to myself, do you know what? The man served his country, let him get away if that's what he wants to do. But to then do the complete opposite, not the complete opposite discreetly, the complete opposite in our faces, not only the people of his country, which we did look at him as our prince, but also the monarchy. I served the monarchy. I swore allegiance to the monarchy. I fought for Harry, for William, for the Queen, for the King. I fought for those people during a couple of decades. So when I see now that I've not only defended him, but he's come out and the wokeness behind it, the virtual signalling behind this is sickening. And I think people have got to the point where they're fed up with hearing the same old jargon and then making money out of it.
Well, it's also hypocrisy and lies, right? In the 2 trailers, which last no more than 2.5 minutes between them, already 6 of the images that they have used in the trailers to illustrate the intrusion into their lives have been proven to be the complete opposite. Either they weren't at the events which are being depicted, like one's a Harry Potter premiere 5 years before they met, or their official photo calls where the pictures they've used were actually from people who'd been officially approved to stand there and take those pictures of the royals to promote them.
What's very obvious in here, Piers, what's very obvious here is there's a toxic partner in this relationship, and we know who it is. Harry is not the person that he is now. When you look at the 2 differences of what we know him as and to what I'm not...
OK, so let me just...
Well, hang on.
Can I just cut in? Because I'm listening to you. I'm going to come to you. You're bashing this woman in front of me, and I'm not going to tolerate it.
I'm going to come to you.
You are.
She, by the way, is unloading a load of manure all over her family in the next 48 hours. So we'll come to you. One moment.
All right.
Just want to finish on one point about the lying is one thing. But the hypocrisy, these two go on about carbon footprint, about the environment. And where do they wash up to get this award? In another private plane. I mean, to me, again, they say one thing, they preach one thing, but they do the complete opposite. Right, the stage is yours.
Thank you.
Give me one good reason why we shouldn't be feeling this way about these two.
OK, you know what? I'm going to start with the first point because I've had to listen to a load of people vilify this woman all day, every day, and you know what? I'm fed up of it. So, first point, OK? So, the commercialisation of the rift within the royal family is a byproduct, OK? A byproduct of the institution's failure to be anti-racist and cooperative, which has ultimately led to a series of savvy business deals and strategic manoeuvres on their part in order to ensure the safety and security of their family, what you both fail to understand. Secondly, institutionalised racism, when pertaining to institutionalised racism, when an individual needs help, try to seek help and realise that there is no one to turn to, what you'll often find, and you should know this as a journalist, what you often find is that person will seek solace in the media and press outlets hold on a second, hold on, in an attempt to garner support, build awareness, understanding and inspire action. And all of these typical circumstances would be perfectly OK, but for some reason it's not with this.
But we don't disagree with that. We don't disagree with that.
In any normal circumstances, this would be OK. But hold on a second. It's not for this particular couple. Now, hold on. Let's just bear that in mind.
Well, I want to ask you one thing about what you just said.
OK.
Where is the evidence that she went to people at the palace and they refused to give her help? Who were these people? Nearly 2 years later, we still don't have any names.
OK.
Nothing.
Right,
Nada.
So you're holding on to the fact that she won't give names, and I've already told you that.
I think she's a liar.
Hold on a second. Right,
I think she's a barefaced
So you're
liar.
categorically saying that she's a liar.
Yes.
But right, so let me just say this. Firstly,
she said her son hadn't been made a... She said, well, I'm going to say why I call her a liar. She said to Oprah Winfrey her son had not been made a prince because of his skin colour. Absolute lie.
OK, so this is what... OK,
the lie.
By virtue of the fact that you've come out with that opinion or thought, shows me that you have a very rudimentary understanding of racism. So let me break it down to both of you, OK?
That's just a fact.
Hold on a second. No, hold on a second. Hold on a second. No.
Go on, tell me about racism.
The institution... OK, the reason why institutions are able to perpetuate racism is because they rely heavily on covert racism, which is hard to prove, therefore it thrives. Let me just break it down some more because you clearly don't understand. Covert racism is racial prejudice that is subtle and discreet and often disguised and rationalised with an alternative explanation. So I'll give you an example. Hold on, I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example. I will give you an example.
If I saw that openly, I would jump in and I would say, that is not right. 100%. I think any normal person
would do that. What do you mean, what's not right? What's not right?
Racism, full stop. It should be stamped out. Absolutely.
But you don't even understand it. By virtue of the fact that you're even saying that, you clearly don't understand it.
But I do understand racism.
You don't understand.
Absolutely I do.
You clearly don't understand.
Someone being judged by the colour of their skin and being...
I understand one thing.
So how is it perpetuated within an institution? You're telling me you understand racism. How is it perpetuated within an institution?
But you're getting into the nitty-gritty of things now.
Nitty-gritty? Hold on a second. You've just said you understand
let me tell you...
How is it perpetuated within an institution?
Excuse me, time out. My show.
Your show.
Here's my point. My point about Meghan and Harry. They say all this stuff without producing any evidence
and you wouldn't let me finish.
It.
But you wouldn't let me finish. I've already just explained to you. Covert racism is racial prejudice that is subtle and discreet.
But you have to prove it.
Now, hold on a second. No, but this is the issue.
You can't say my son wasn't made a prince because of his skin colour.
Let me explain. This is what I'm trying to explain to you, and you won't let me finish. So let me finish, and you'll be able to raise your point. Okay. So, racial prejudice. That is subtle and discreet. It's called covert racism. Okay, hold on, listen. Just listen.
Because you're not.
You're not understanding.
You're not understanding what racism
is. No, Piers, you're not understanding. Because the reality is, I can give you an example. Because clearly you're not getting it. So someone can come along and say, "Oh, I don't like Meghan because she's this, she's that, she's a liar, she's this, she's that." When the reality is, secretly, it's actually due to the fact. Hold on a second. Let me finish, please, Anne. It's actually due to the fact that Harry, who is a royal, ended up marrying a woman from the black community. But you cannot say that out loud because that is
nothing to do with.
It is overtly racist and that is against the law.
Calm down.
Listen, because you won't listen.
You can't just shout your way through the next hour, right? Here's my point about that. Nothing I've ever said that's critical of Meghan Markle has anything to do with her skin colour.
Okay,
nothing.
So at best,
either subliminal or overt or any other way, it's to do with her hypocrisy and her lies.
What's hypocrisy? Because you ultimately said that she's a liar, and that's gaslighting, which I've already told you about.
I also think she's a fake. Let me ask you one question. Front page of every paper today, or most of them, have pictures of her crying in the trailer for the series.
Yeah.
Do you think those tears were genuine?
Okay, so this is what... I'm not even going to go down this
Well, they're
route,
genuine.
because you're trying to lead on the fact that just because someone is an actress, that therefore every time that they cry,
just
it's
asked you a
ultimately
question.
fake. I'm answering you a
Do you
question.
think her tears are genuine?
You are implying I do, because the reality is she's ultimately said that
Then I
that
want to play you
institution
something.
perpetuated
I want to
racism.
play you something.
So this is an actress who
You
can
think
act and who can cry on cue,
Okay.
but also can cry when
I'm just
dealing
going to
with
play you a
actual
clip. I'm going to play you a
I get your point.
I'm
I'm
going to play you a
jumping
clip.
after.
This is Meghan Markle.
Now make yourself cry. Yeah. Oh, I can do that so well. Oh my God, it's crazy. You're like, Meghan, 1 tear, left eye, go. Give me 3 seconds.
3 seconds is all it takes for her to cry.
And just a quick one on that, Piers.
She's an actress.
And I get your
she's
point.
scamming everybody.
And I really do.
She's
But when you talk
She's
about
really
the
not.
discrete...
She's had to do
when you
this
talk about
because she's
discrete
been left out in the
racism.
cold. This is how institutionalised racism works. When you dare to go up to against an institution due to the fact that they're perpetuating racial prejudice,
I just
what
showed
usually
you.
happens, what usually happens,
Imarn,
they get left out in the cold, and
I
they
just
end up
showed
having
you.
to find
But do you not
solace
think people
in the
manipulate
media,
that
in
card? Do
finding
you not
money
think people
to
manipulate
survive.
that
I've
card?
already explained
Do you not
this.
think
from
people
the,
manipulate that because it
engagement.
can't be proven?
And you
because
don't think that people
no,
are
exactly,
racially
but
prejudiced
can you not see
and are trying to pretend that it's something other than racial prejudice?
But do you not think people use that card as well in a vindictive and a manipulative
And
way?
do you not think that
No,
people are racially prejudiced and are trying to...
But do you not see my point of view?
Time out.
I do.
Could you stop?
I do. I see
Don't
that.
just talk over each
You
other.
see my point of view as well.
Yeah.
Look at the front pages there, which is when their engagement was announced.
Yeah.
Where's the racism?
Do you remember that was before she actually said that the institution was racist? And that's my point. How institutionalised racism works is the minute you dare to say that the institution is racist, everyone piles
stop
on.
shouting.
That's what happens.
But you accept there's no racism in those media pages.
Because that was before she said that the institution was racist.
Actually,
after that moment, that's when everyone decided to pile on.
Actually,
and
what happened
as
is
a woman,
people began to pile on when she started having $500,000 baby showers in New York and flying back on the Clooney private plane. They started having a pile-on. When they used Elton John's private plane like a taxi rank whilst preaching about carbon footprint. They had another pile-on when they had other huge extravagant events they went to, and then when they're preaching about poverty on their Twitter account. Time and again, they were caught being rankly hypocritical. That was why the media coverage began to turn. Then there was all the stuff with her father. Many people felt that she was unnecessarily cruel to her father. People have since criticised his own behaviour. I accept that. But certainly, to start with, they ditched him. They dropped him. Harry's never met his father-in-law in his life. You know, he proposed marriage to this girl knowing what's going to happen and then doesn't do anything to protect the father at all. And so now she's disowned him. What kind of people put compassion on their website, as they do, as being at the centre of their core being, when they live 70 miles away from this guy who has not got long for this world, he's in poor health, all he wants to do is meet his grandchildren, and she won't have anything to do with it? That's not compassionate. And also the hypocrisy and the lies are not what I think are decent values in people. Sorry.
All of those things seem to outweigh the fact that a black woman has said that
nothing to do with her being
Everything
black.
is about racism. She has ultimately turned around and said that institution is racist, and everyone has decided to pile on. So let me just tell you, in terms of my thoughts, at best, these individuals are weak, insecure, hate to see a rift, and have a positive prejudice towards the royal family. And at worst, they are a bunch of disgusting racists who fail to acknowledge their racial prejudice and actually find solace in seeking self-esteem and status from gaslighting black people. It is either one or the other or both.
Here's the problem. I would have said exactly the same thing if she'd been white. Exactly the same thing.
So what's the point that you're trying to make?
And actually, Kate Middleton, who came in, she got criticised very heavily by the media early on in that relationship.
But she didn't have to contend with racism,
and she just
though, did she?
did her duty, accepted in return for all the luxury.
But she didn't contend with racism, though, did she?
These two
She didn't contend with racism, though, did she?
Where did the racism come from?
OK, so you're clearly not understanding, so I'll break it down
you're not
again.
understanding
you're not
me.
understanding about the institution.
Where did the racism come from?
I'll answer.
Tell me who was racist and when.
OK, I'm going to answer to you. OK?
Who and when?
Right, let's just start with the institution.
You've got to say everyone's racist.
Let me answer.
Yeah.
Who and when?
OK, so let me answer, OK? Firstly, racism, as I've said over the last several years, and I'll say it again, racism is firmly interwoven into the fabric of British society due to its historical context.
Right.
And
that wasn't my question.
And that way, I'm answering your question.
Not my question.
Let me finish, Piers.
Who was racist to Meghan and Harry in the British media? Or who was racist at the palace? And when were they racist?
Can I answer your question now?
Sure, give me one example.
Perfect. So, firmly, racism is firmly interwoven into the fabric of British society.
Just give me an example.
Secondly, I'm going to make
That's
my
your
point.
opinion.
I'm going to make
Give
my
me an
point.
example.
Hold on a second. Secondly, the royal family smeared their own name, tarnished their own name by failing to adopt anti-racism stances.
Right. Is there one
and
example
that is why,
or not?
hold on a second, and they've perpetuated racism.
I only want one example.
I'm giving you the example. They've
Of the British media
perpetuated
being
racism.
racist or someone at the palace, and who
I'm
was
giving you
it?
an example. Let me finish, please. Is that OK, Piers? Thank you very much. So,
You can answer the question.
I'm going to answer the question. So, in terms of the institution, I'm going to give you several examples of covert racism, clearly, as you don't understand. First,
Can you give me one example?
I'm going to.
I do, but I see the flip side as well. I see where it's manipulated.
We're going to have to go to a break.
The Queen
So
gives out badges that ultimately depicts a man, a white man with wings.
Everything.
The Queen
either
gives
give
out
me an
badges.
example
I'm giving
or
you
say you
examples.
can't.
I'm giving you examples, but you won't let me speak.
Give me
and this
one
is what's
specific
happened.
example.
I'm giving you examples. All right, so in terms of media, because this is what happens with you, you're clearly not trying to hear me.
Just
when I'm
ask
trying
for a
to speak.
fact.
In terms of the media, we've already seen the clear distinction between how the media has displayed or spoken
Okay,
or represented
you can't.
obviously in terms of how they've represented
You don't
Meghan
have an
and how they've
example, right?
Yes, I do. In terms of holding a baby.
Okay.
Kate held her stomach and
All right.
therefore it was fine. Meghan held her stomach and she's a terrible person. This is an
must be
example of
racism.
covert racism. No, it's called covert racism that you don't understand.
Oh, it's nonsense, Imarn. There is no racism in the
With your
British media to Meghan Markle.
With your
There never
rudimentary
has been.
understanding of racism.
None of it has been
it's
racist.
Fine. You
Well,
can continue to perpetuate your covert racism on national television.
You know what?
That's
Okay, I've got to leave it there.
Fine,
I have to leave it
please.
there. We've had a good run at this. I don't have any racism, covert or overt.
No, you have racial prejudice, and it
No,
manifests itself
I
if
have
you
no
decide not to
racial
be
prejudice
anti-racist, and that's what you don't
whatsoever.
understand about
I have
anti-racism,
none
Piers.
whatsoever.
That's what you don't understand
I
about
wouldn't be giving you
anti-racism,
21
Piers.
minutes of my show
So because
on a regular
but
basis
this is what
if I had a
happens.
racial prejudice,
But this
would
is
I?
what happens. So white people tend to justify either sleeping with a black person, having a black friend, or hiring a black person as to
I'm not
make
going to
sure that
sleep
they're
with you,
exempt
and I'm not
from
going to
racial
hire
prejudice.
you, but I will
The
keep
reality
having you
is-
back
the
as a
reality
commentator
is-
if you can provide some facts behind
Which
the
I did.
extreme
Which
rhetoric.
I did. Yes, which I
You can't
did.
just say everyone's racist in Britain,
No,
but I can't give you a
explained to
single example.
I explained to you
All
that
right.
she already experienced
We've
racism
got to leave
within
it
that
there.
institution. I already told you
We've
that.
got to leave it
and
there.
you've gaslit that woman just
I
like the
know,
rest
I'm
of
a
the media.
gaslighting
Yes, you
covert
are.
racist.
Yes,
Thank
you
you
are.
very much
Yes,
indeed for
you are
joining me.
indeed.
Great to see you.
Thank you.